What's up, everybody? This is esteemed director Joe here with another film review. God, I love this thing. So, the build-up for this review has a little background behind it, so sit back and let me explain. So, years ago, I auditioned for a small role on a TV show called The A Word. It was a very good show that was about an autistic boy and some of the struggles dealing with that in his whole family, and it was a very good show. You should check it out. I might not have gotten the role, but I was invited to the studio while they were filming some scenes, and I got to be introduced to the actors and everyone who was involved. And one of those actors was Christopher Eccleston, who some of you may remember for his role as the Doctor in Doctor Who, the 9th iteration of the character. I didn't talk to him about Doctor Who because I thought, he already got enough questions asked about that as it is probably. But we did get talking about film, some of my favourite films, some of his favourite films. He was in 28 Days Later, which was one of my favourite films. And we were discussing his favourite film, which was called Kes, which is what I'm reviewing today. He went into why it was his favourite film, how it had an impact on his childhood and everything like that. And I told him at the time that I was aspiring to be a film reviewer. So, the next day, he came into set and bought a DVD of Kes for me and asked me to review it. Now, sadly, I never got around to reviewing it because I was just too anxious to get in front of the camera and live up to what I thought was expected. But I'm making up for that now. Kes is about a young boy who goes through a lot of problems, both family related and school related, and he finds comfort in this relationship he forms with this bird, and it's a very interesting little piece. The 70s were a very experimental time in terms of filmmaking, and even though there were more experimental films than this one, this is a prime example of sort of neorealism taking effect in the sort of cycle of films coming out in the 70s. Neorealism is very different to postmodernism, which is more what you'd expect from modern day films, or even sort of the blend of neorealism and postmodernism in films that Martin Scorsese did that created this great contrast. Because postmodernism revolves around playing around with what's typically expected out of continuity and realism itself. Whereas neorealism plays into trying to make the film as realistic as possible rather than playing into tricks to exaggerate or play up the movie experience. There's very little music in the film, and this gives the film sort of a realistic quality. That and the acting is also extremely realistic as well, and very well done. I don't want to go into much more about the film, particularly how it ends, because I want you to see the film for yourself and I don't want to spoil anything. I mean, this is something I really don't take a liking to, but I've noticed that a lot of people nowadays look at old films, particularly ones that are in black and white, and don't like them. Why, I don't know. I could formulate a few reasons in my head, but trust me, if you give this a go, it will be a good time. Alright, I know this is short, and I'm sorry I couldn't get a Halloween review out in time, but hopefully this makes up for it. See you next time. And cut.